Hi, this is Julian Valderrama, and I'm the author of Blueprint for Immortality, the Quantum Code for Life's Secrets to Success, and Life is a Game, the Quantum Code for Life's Principles for Success. And I wanted to go over a few things here. The name of this riff is based on a quote. This quote reads as the following: "If I have seen further than others, it is by standing upon the shoulders of giants." End quote. And this is a quote by Isaac Newton. In essence, we as humans, we love instant gratification. We want the shortest, quickest way from point A to point B. Or we may just want to enjoy the scenery, which means that getting from point A to point B is getting from where we are not doing what we want to the point where we are doing exactly what we want, enjoying the scenery. But we want it now. And as such is the case, it will be briefly described in simple and ready-to-use terms without going on a long-winded explanation why the principles described in the content of my books will absolutely get you from your point A to point B. They are exactly what you need to know and not just know about. It may be said that being impatient is a weakness, but have you considered that it could be a strong point that we all have? And technology may be a witness, a testament to that reality. We are learning and experiencing faster than ever before, and it continues to add discernible value to our immediate present reality. We can now instantly contact anybody on the other side of the globe, while just over 150 years ago, it would have taken weeks or months or even years for information to arrive at its destination. So maybe it is our mission to impatiently create better lives so we can just enjoy life more patiently and plainly. Or is it the other way around? Do we patiently create better lives so we can impatiently live more fully? And maybe both are true. So I'll let you decide. So obviously the point here is that we want to improve every facet of our lives instantly. In this instant, our desires are obviously relevant only to each his own. And while one person may desire a simple life in the woods, in a log cabin where nature is more accessible, another may readily jump at the excitement of competing against themselves or others to attain a fast-paced life in a major city full of life. A person may want a little of both worlds, and there's nothing wrong with that. So whatever experience we desire to attain to now, we generally want more of that physical, emotional, and mental, as well as spiritual wealth. Through the quantum physical definition, I believe, it tells us that we just want more energy intensified. And science has plainly described to us that the deeper we observe the universe, whether outwardly or inwardly, whether we are observing the macrocosmos or the microcosmos, that our power of observation is teaching us that we are only observing the infinite universe of infinite energy. There may be debate in the concept that the universe may or may not be infinite. I personally believe there is more evidence of the reality of an infinite universe. But we can all agree that the current understanding is that everything in the universe is energy, vibration, or frequency. In the same manner that we may desire to build something as tangible as a house, we know we need its most basic components: wood, metal, nails, etc. That we must readily accept that if we know by definition, not just know about the most basic components of all matter in our physical universe, then we'll be able to build better and more consistently. Consider the field of science as it relates to healthcare. During the 1800s, we learned that doctors were going into surgery with unwashed hands and using medical tools that were not properly cleaned and sanitized. The mortality rate in the delivery room was catastrophic. Women had a higher chance of survival when giving birth at home than trying to deliver in the hospital. It was discovered that doctors were going into the delivery room with contaminated hands, carrying agents causing fatal disease. How? After teaching a postmortem examination in class, they would fail to clean their hands. And the so-called doctors were careless about their practice, entrusting mothers that had to pay with their lives. Even after providing evidence of the positive results of scrubbing one's hands before every procedure and clearly showing the mortality rate becomes zero, the medical establishment proceeded to vilify, ostracize, and finally have him discharged from this prestigious position in maternity hospitals. Haunted by the fact that hundreds of thousands of women continue to die, Dr. Semmelweis eventually died of insanity in 1865. And you can read this story in Let's Cure Humanity by Robert Barefoot. This was a gross result of injustice, prejudice, and pride, as well as abuse of authority. A consequence of willful ignorance. This is but one example among many cases of injustice. Since this was the case, the real heresy is the continuous idea that insists on permeating people's minds. And ask yourself, does it permeate your mind? And that is this: believing that, quote unquote, we know all there is to know. And obviously there is the idea that the more we know, the more we realize how much we don't know. And the status quo keeps on being challenged. Those who are, in essence, on top of the status quo will not accept resistance, and many times will persecute those who threaten their current power, even if it means overstepping on other people's rights and free will. Albert Einstein was quoted as saying, quote, "Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds," end quote. And I personally believe this to be a sad reality seen throughout history. And remember, what we know is a drop. What we don't know is an ocean. This is a quote by Isaac Newton. And Newton's principle of success helps us to fully be aware that our present knowledge, whether individual or collective, is but a fraction of what it could potentially become. It helps us keep a keen observation on those who may have achieved more success, so as to have contrast contextually to our present growth. We should always consider that our personal or collective status quo of knowledge is what we know so far. We must understand this law as individuals and as a collective society if we are to progress. And when we experience a different opinion or understanding, we must never shut our eyes to the possibility of others' discernment, points of view, or frame of minds. Therefore, the scientific method, that of taking a question, doing background research, and taking every possible piece of data without bias, constructing a hypothesis, then testing it through honest experimentation, analyzing the results to form a conclusion is indispensable. For this process is of utmost importance when taking and establishing new knowledge. This method has allowed us to go out into outer space and create powerful methods of enhancing our immediate experience. Therefore, if we feel that our beliefs are being challenged, we should consider the possibility that most likely we don't have the whole truth or the only truth. Therefore, considering other points of view may enforce what we feel we already know and therefore give us more conviction of our personal or general understanding of what makes our world work or not work. It can help us discern what creates success or does not create success based on tangible, real-life results. And if we find that our current understanding is not working, we must toss the idea and be open to a better one for our own good and that of others. This is the logical scientific method that can propel us positively forward without judgment or willful ignorance. This takes us to our immediate present life, for in connection with this thought, we must fully integrate honesty in our personal lives. Let's ask the question, do we have the evidence that our life is better and improving every day? Or are we regressing? But as we sit back and observe our personal circumstances that surround our immediate lives, do we feel appreciation and gratitude? When we reflect back on our lives as we grew up to this personal point in our lives, do you feel strong, powerful recognition because you had every advantage given to you to achieve the great success you have now achieved? Do you feel empowered now in this instant in time as you observe your immediate reality? Are you where you want to be? And these questions must be asked under the following context as well. Because it may not be entirely your fault if you are not where you want to be. And there's a reason for that. And that is this. Did you know that there is a war being waged against you and your mind, just so they can profit from you and your loved ones' negative emotional output? Did you also know that it is by making you mentally sick and incapable that powerful forces in this world are prospering beyond belief, all in the name of personal gain and advantage? Did you know that like trash or disposable property, human beings are no longer being born to life, but are grown to become just another form of resource? And for those few who acknowledge and recognize their life as blessed, if that is you, you must be congratulated, for you have harnessed powerful thinking patterns that will continue to enrich your life. But most likely for you personally, as you are reading this book, you may feel less than gratitude and appreciation for your personal circumstances. You may feel that there is much to be wanted in your life, and therefore feelings of despondency and dissatisfaction might overwhelm you at times, making you depressed and stressed because your life has less than desirable outcomes. Maybe you are looking at your finances, and feelings and thoughts of anxiety and hopelessness are triggered. Maybe as you look at your personal relationships, you wonder how you could improve such emotional rise. Also, maybe as you go through your day, maybe you continue to examine that your feelings are consistently negative because every day you realize your life is not getting better. Or it could also be that you have more than you could ever need and realize that you have a privileged life, but can't help to continue to feel unfulfilled and generally unhappy. It is all designed to blind us from one powerful truth. This truth is so empowering to the individual that comprehension of it has made them use exorbitant amounts of money and resources to maintain this demented, finely orchestrated illusion just to keep you convinced otherwise. Throughout this book, it will be explained with scientific data why the general population is being oppressed and suppressed. The problem is that people are not aware who the enemy is nor how to fight against it. This system's inner workings are so complex that it has convinced the entire world that we are free and happy, even though we are enslaved. Before revealing this personal truth that will empower us, we must be aware of a specific mental attitude, and we have to avert it. Instead of feeling like victims of circumstances beyond our control, you must decide to be a cause over it. The great thing about taking control is that not a single literal blow of violence will have to be taken. There will be no need for unnecessary coups or mass protests or the use of any sort of violence. In reality, your real power comes from your own blueprint for immortality. It is a powerful force that will drive you to infinite progress. It is the laws of quantum physics that have aptly helped us to demonstrate it simply, and they have proven that this power is hidden in every individual, including yourself. You must exercise the mental attitude that a colorful speech by General S. Patton successfully bred into the minds of literal soldiers of war before going into battle. He said, quote unquote, "No bastard ever won a war by dying for his country. He won it by making the other poor dumb bastard die for his country." Our determination is mainly acknowledging that we must drive the force of our thoughts to win this war by taking back our individual sovereignties. People rarely admire heroes for their ability to persevere under pressure and win. We must not be afraid to show courage, for it is our moral obligation to accept the sting of battle and love it. We must develop the mental ability to decide to win this war, for our lives and the lives of our loved ones have suffered because of our ignorant inaction. We have stood in neutrality for far too long, and our very physical health and emotional well-being have been paying the price. We must readily understand who the enemy is and make them die for their cause in life. Patton expressed, quote unquote, "We're going to cut out their living guts and use them to grease the threads of our tanks. And when in battle, we may chicken out. But the second you put your hand into a bunch of good that a moment before was your best friend's face, you'll know what to do." End quote. Obviously, these phrases here in these sentences are metaphorical, but it may be very literal, for it is the quality of our lives that continues to pay the price. This is a real-life war, and we must harness our own resources and weapons and learn how to and when to use them, because it is our personal lives and those of whom we love the most that have been enslaved. We must understand the basic truths of our most powerful innate abilities. The symbol portrayed on the cover of this book represents the following concepts and will serve as a reminder of the unfathomable power and ability that we personally carry. Our potential is truly infinite. Okay, this is the end of this riff.
I highly suggest, if you have not already done so, to support this channel by buying this book that is being read to you. Life is a Game, The Quantum Code for Life's Principles for Success, and my previous volume, Blueprint for Immortality, The Quantum Code for Life's Secrets to Success. Also, go ahead and put a like on this video if you feel it is valuable. Also, share this with loved ones, friends, and this will help raise awareness of this kind of life-changing knowledge. So consider that, because what you do for others, you do for yourself. What you fail to do for others, you also fail to do for yourself. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. And also go ahead and put a comment below if you feel you have any questions, comments, or observations. I certainly love to read that from you. Let me know, what did you like best and what you got out of it, of what you heard today. And don't forget, life is a game, and this is the quantum code for life's principles for success.